So now for question 5, it's asking us to put two bulbs in parallel. So remember, in series follows the same path, so when we had that second bulb in series, it still followed along the same current. But for something in parallel, we want to have two separate paths, one for each object. So to do that, we're going to take our bulb 1 and we're just going to fit bulb 2, kind of like when we plugged in the meter. And so now, if you follow the wires, you have one path that goes through bulb 1, out of the wire and back into the power supply. And now if you follow this wire, and instead of going into the bulb, you go the other direction through the second wire, you'll notice we have a complete path without bulb 1 going through bulb 2. So those are what we call in parallel because it's two separate circuits running next to each other, parallel to each other. So hopefully from this you can draw a diagram. And now what we're going to do is unscrew one of the bulbs and think about what's going to happen. So if you remember in series, when we unscrewed one of the bulbs, the entire circuit went out. And that's because there's only one path, and when you remove the bulb, you're breaking that one path for current to flow. But we have multiple paths in a set of parallel bulbs, and so when we unscrew one bulb, what do you think is going to happen? And so write that down for number 6, and then let's see what happens. So we unscrew bulb 2, and bulb 1 stays lit. In fact, nothing has happened to bulb 1, it stayed the same brightness and everything. So the other thing to think about is this is the bulb by itself. Think about the brightness of both of them when I screw bulb 2 back in. Is there any difference in their brightness, and is there any difference compared to the brightness of the bulb by itself? So as a check, again, I'm going to unscrew this so you can see one bulb by itself. And you can see how bright it is. And then when I screw this back in, you'll notice that the two bulbs stay pretty much the same brightness. And so what it's asking in question 7 is about the current through the circuit. And if you think of brightness as an analog to current, how much current is there in two bulbs compared to one bulb? And we can actually look at the power supply. So when we unscrew this, the power supply reads 0.25 amps. And when I screw this one back in, it jumps up to 0.52 amps. So you actually doubled your current to run two bulbs in parallel.